It's not a secret to anyone that a lot of players have grown increasingly unhappy with the state of Overwatch 2's ranking system as the months go on. Even with all the adjustments being made to Overwatch 2's ranking system, many players are still unhappy with the current state of the ranked system, and would rather have the game simply return to the SR system that was utilized in Overwatch 1. Before we continue, please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be making much more long-form discussion content like this that you could just have on in the background while you're doing other tasks on your computer, as well as some guides and instructional content in the near future. Thank you. While we can talk about the shortcomings of all of these changes, I think it's also important to mention why these changes were made in the first place, since while I know it may be hard to believe, there were actual reasons for all of these changes to be made, and it wasn't just to make the players hate the game. One of the, quote, problems with the ranking system in Overwatch 1 was that it was very honest and transparent, almost to a fault. You win a game, the funny number goes up. You lose a game, the funny number goes down. This led to a lot of players feeling like they were stuck at their rank, since they would be getting those updates every single game that were just continuously showing their rank going up and down around the same place over and over again. This was the primary reason for Blizzard changing up how the ranking system functioned in Overwatch 2. By implementing a rank update only every 7 wins, it lessens the impact of this effect, as instead of seeing your rank change every game, you know that you're not getting a rank update until you get those 7 wins. But the trade-off here is that when you do get a rank update, it feels much more impactful due to the anticipation and build-up to that one rank update. So if you do stay at the same exact rank, or even if you end up dropping, then it feels much worse than it did before in Overwatch 1, since you have many hours and many games building up to that moment. And then you just get hit with the true combo of being Plat 4 and rank updating back into Plat 4, or even rank updating from Plat 4 into Plat 5. It just feels much worse than anything you got from rank updates in Overwatch 1, since in Overwatch 1, getting those constant rank updates really lessened the blows from games, since your rank would only go up or down by around 30 SR. In addition, in Overwatch 2, if you're on the cusp of a new rank, say you're Plat 1 looking to hit Diamond 5, if you don't get it, then it feels even worse, since you know that you're going to have to grind out another 7 wins just to try and get another chance of getting that rank up. I think another underrated aspect of the psychological impact behind these changes is that I noticed a lot of the time if someone was having a bad night of competitive, they would actually want to keep playing the game just to finish out the rank update they were currently on. Mentally, people would just want to leave a bad night of competitive behind them and then start fresh on another day. But with the game updating your rank only every 7 wins, in order to start from a clean slate the next time you play, you would have to fully complete the current set of 7 wins, since you would rather just take the D rank that night and just leave all the disappointment from the D rank back then, rather than a couple days later, the next time you queue up for some competitive, you win your 2 games and then you get hit with the rank update and you D rank, and now you're just in a bad mood for the rest of that day as well. It's made much harder to just leave a bad night of competitive behind you compared to in Overwatch 1, where because you got the rank updates every game, you could simply just stop playing whenever. I mentioned at the start that the biggest reason for these changes was that players would feel stuck at their rank, and you'd probably realize that only giving rank updates every 7 games doesn't actually fix this issue. It would just attempt to hide it from players by making the system much less transparent with what your skill rank actually is. But Blizzard thought of this, as there is another change that is meant to actually fix the feeling of being stuck and not ranking up, and that is the Rank Decay that was added at the start of every competitive season. This Rank Decay exists for no other reason than for players to feel good as they climb back up the ladder again, as they get all those sweet rank ups and see the ranks go up, stocks are flying, I'm getting all the wins, ranking up every other set of game updates. It's wild, as the system is set up so that even if you were to go exactly 50-50 in your games, over the course of 80 or so games played, you would eventually end up right back to where you ended the previous season. This is only possible due to the lack of transparency in the ranking system, as when getting your rank update, Blizzard can just pull the strings behind the scenes to make you, quote, rank up even if you went negative for that set of 7 wins. And because the updates were so far apart, it's kind of hard to notice that everything's just being rigged behind the scenes, since on the rank update screen you can't even see how many games you've lost for the current rank update cycle. You can only see the amount of games that you've won. In Season 2, when the Rank Decay first took effect, I didn't even notice this happening until I had already climbed back up to Grandmaster 2 from Mid-Masters, and then I calculated my win-loss for the whole season so far, and saw that I had gone 42 and 41, almost exactly a 50-50 win rate. And yet, due to Blizzard abusing the non-transparency with the new system, they were able to make me, quote, rank up from Mid-Masters to Grandmaster 2 with only a 1-game positive. Now, the Rank Decay presents the most problems out of anything changed in the Overwatch 2 ranking system so far. For the first part, it feels absolutely horrible to just have your rank ups basically stolen from you when you had worked so hard for them in the previous season and earned that higher rank. Secondly, the Rank Decay is very poorly explained to players what it actually is. So many players just thought that the new rank was their actual rank now for matchmaking. However, the system would still use their MMR from the previous season for matchmaking. So for example, say you got to Plat the previous season, and then the current season you get decayed into Gold. Even though your rank says that you're Gold, the game will put you into Plat games. This ends up having a massive negative mental impact on a lot of players who didn't understand what's going on with the Rank Decay, as they climbed all the way up to Plat last season, but now they get reset into low Gold, and now they're struggling and having to try hard to win games, since they're still being put into Plat MMR lobbies. But they don't know that, and they're just thinking, am I lost? I got to high Plat last season and now I'm struggling against low Gold players? Was I just boosted? What the heck is going on? Am I really that bad now? But the reality is that they are actually being put into Plat level games with other Plat players. The game is just lying about their rank so that they can climb back out and feel the progression and accomplishment from seeing the funny rank division go up. But this just doesn't actually end up working at all, since if you don't know what's actually going on, it feels like shit because you think you're struggling in these lower elo lobbies and struggling to slowly try and climb back to where you were before. And if you do know what's going on, then your rank is just completely pointless. It's just cosmetic and it's not tied to your actual skill whatsoever. So rank as a whole just feels worse since you don't even get to see your improvement, since everything is just smoke and mirrors. The number which you actually care about seeing go up, your MMR, is completely invisible and disconnected from the rank that they show you. It just makes ranked feel pointless to play since you can't actually see your improvement as you play. You're just playing to improve a value that doesn't mean anything, while the value that actually means something, your MMR, is completely invisible and you have no way to see it. The whole experience just makes ranked feel bad if you don't know the truth, and also bad if you do know the truth about the rank resets. It just sucked for everyone, and I'm glad it's finally out of the game in Season 4. Now, if you want a more cynical take on why Blizzard implemented these changes, it's to keep people playing the game so that they're more likely to spend money. In my case, I only went 50-50, and it took me 80 games in order to get back to where I was before. However, what if you were playing really well at the start of the season and had a much higher win rate? Say about 60%. With the Rank Decay on, you'd have to keep grinding the game to get back to where you were, and then actually start climbing to see what your skill rating actually is. Since even if you are supposed to climb, you still have to grind out all of the decay out of your rank first to actually be able to see your improved MMR be reflected in your rank. So this forces players to play the game much more in order to see the fruits of their labor. Forcing players to grind out games in comp means players spend more time playing Overwatch 2 to grind the decay away, and more time playing the game means more potential time for them to get players to cough up some sweet dough to buy some overpriced cosmetics from the shop to add some more fun to their manufactured grind up the ladder to try and actually synchronize their rank and their MMR so that they can see what their skill level truly is. Now, before we get into the next portion of this video, allow me to change the footage to something different. This will be relevant in a bit, just trust me. Now, one thing I would want to look back on was the main issue with the ranking system in Overwatch 1, which was that many players would feel stuck in their rank. The one question I wanted to ask everyone is that even a problem? I think that a lot of people don't realize about ranking systems in competitive games is that getting better doesn't necessarily mean you will climb in rank. This is simply because you aren't the only human trying to get better at the game. Every single person who is in your matches is also trying to improve and get better and get to a higher rank as well. Being a Hardstuck in a certain rank doesn't mean you're not improving. It just means that you are improving at the same rate as everyone else in your skill division is. In order to successfully climb in a ranked environment, you don't have to just get better, you have to get better faster than everyone else in your rank. You need to be learning and improving at a faster rate than your peers who are playing the game. And if you aren't improving at all, you're not going to be Hardstuck, you're actually going to fall down the rankings, as all of the other players in your rank improve and everyone starts moving ahead of you. Now, you might be wondering, well, what the fuck is this gameplay? It's ass. Is this like plat or something? And by modern day Overwatch standards, yeah, this probably looks like plat, maybe diamond, but this is actually an old mid-grandmaster, the top 500 match from Overwatch 1. Way back from 2018, nearly 5 years ago. This was from way back when Brig was new and you basically had to run a Brig because he was so broke. So, sorry for the Brig PTSD that may be given to people by this gameplay. I apologize for that. Anyway, here's the competitive loading screen so that you can see the average SR for each team, which is around 4,250 SR. You also may recognize a few names in this lobby if you followed Overwatch at the time. And yes, aside from me playing the most boring support in the game, and also not being that good at her at the time, you can see that just in general, from the speed of the game and how everyone is playing, that Grandmaster from back in 2018 looks so much worse than the Grandmaster gameplay of today. Because compared to back then, players today have had 5 additional years of playing the game and improving, pushing the game and its mechanics to their absolute limits. I'm mainly showing this just to showcase how far the Overwatch community have come in terms of understanding and improving at the game. That a Grandmaster match from 2018 looks similar to what might be a plat or diamond game in 2023. If you were to show this footage to J3 or Emong or some other streamer doing a Guess My SR video in the modern day, they would probably agree that it looks like plat, maybe diamond, but definitely not a Grandmaster game with a few top 500 players also in the lobby. So, was it really worth changing the entire ranking system just to try to eliminate the feeling of being, quote, Hardstuck, when the community shouldn't really feel as if being a Hardstuck is a bad thing in the first place? Being Hardstuck just means that you were keeping up with everyone else in terms of improving at the game, not that you weren't improving at all. As for the footage I showed, people who might be plat or diamond in current Overwatch are nearly look as good as Grandmaster players from 5 years ago. And as the game goes on, people will continually get better and better as they improve. The top end goes up, the middle goes up, even the bottom end of the ranking system will all go up in skill. Was it really worth all of the headaches and gaslighting performed by Blizzard to try and fix this? By making ranked into this eternal staircase from Mario 64, where it just feels like you're just running up the same 6 steps over and over again every season, instead of like in Overwatch 1 where it was a very slow climb. There were maybe some breaks every now and then where you might get stuck for a bit, but if you were doing well, you will slowly keep climbing up. Especially now in Overwatch 2 that they've removed the Rank Decay entirely, we're now just left with the same issues of players are going to start feeling like they're Hardstuck. However, let's end this with saying something that I actually think is good about the new ranking system, which I actually think on its own helps out a lot with the feeling of being Hardstuck without any of the fake Rank Decay that was going on, and that is the introduction of rank subdivisions. In Overwatch 1, ranks were very far apart, and it took a while to actually climb from one rank to the next. Both 2,550 SR and 2,950 SR were both the same rank, being Platinum, meaning if you were to climb 400 SR from 2,500, you were still just in Plat. The game doesn't award you with a new rank or anything. However, the rank subdivisions set much more close together benchmarks for improvement. Going from Plat 5 to Plat 3 in Overwatch 2 seems like much more of an improvement than going from 2550 SR to 2750 SR in Overwatch 1. And I think that makes all the difference in creating progression in the ranking system. Just having to win 4 games to get to a new rank, compared to the roughly 20 wins it would have taken to get to a new rank in Overwatch 1, is a massive upgrade in terms of progression, and making the ranked system feel meaningful and rewarding. And I really think that adding the ranked subdivisions was the only thing that they needed to do to address the shortcomings of Overwatch 1's ranked system. Anyways, if you've watched this far and enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Let me know if you prefer the Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2 ranking system in the comments. And until next time, see ya.